Good evening. I start by thanking Thomas, Stephanie, and Dante for the beautiful words, and I thank the themes of owning your own fate and the value of struggle are things that will serve you guys valuably as you move forward from Potomac. To all the performers providing elegant music, and thank you to the rest of the Potomac community, my beloved faculty, the buildings and grounds crews that make every day possible, the support of parents, and all of our students, specifically you, the class of 2015. Thomas asked us to consider being a simple man, and I hope I can honor his request by sharing some insight into the simple basics of who I am and why I'm here. I'm a little nervous. This is a formal setting. I'm more comfortable by the crossroads or in sweatpants. But in times like this, I fall back on the words of Mrs. Jenkins, speaking to my second grade self about public speaking. Ian, you are always talking when you're not supposed to. Now, you are supposed to, and everyone has to listen. So, here we go. I found seeking perspective to be a very useful exercise. The technological world that we live in is a wonderful one, but all the likes and follows, emails and retweets, inboxes and status updates can have even the most grounded person feeling stressed and overburdened. When caught in such a riptide of deadlines, appointments, and the never-ending thing-to-do list, we often lose sight of the most important things in our lives. Your generation in particular is unique in that you are truly the first generation capable of being always online. With this in mind, I believe it's critically important to find the tools to separate yourself from that readily selectable chaos and create moments to calmly and carefully consider the world around you and your place in it. I can't tell you how you might exactly go about that. Some will pray, some will meditate, some write, some sing, and some dance. Me, I take time to feel small. I saw an infographic recently that helped me in my bizarre quest for smallness. Authored by Ali Benazir, it's titled, "What are the odds that you exist as you today?" It's one of those top-down, flowcharty infographics, and in this case it presents a thought experiment, examining various statistical odds most pertinent to you being born as the person you are, from the proposed odds of your mother and your father meeting, to the odds of one particular sperm fertilizing one particular egg, to the odds of this happening over and over and over again in an unbroken lineage for the entirety of human existence. Ultimately, when the math was finished, and allowed Thomas, Mrs. Clarkson, and the rest of Harry Potter / advanced math check it for accuracy, the author concluded that the chance of you existing biologically as you today is roughly 1 in 10 to the 2,685,000. Success. I feel really, really small. Not quite Sant'Angelo, but close. So, my standing here this evening with the opportunity to address you is statistically improbable to say the very least. And to add to that smallness, I'm a huge science nerd. Bert knows this. All the matter that I'm composed of, that we're all composed of, is an amalgamation of complex organic molecules composed in part from rare heavy elements that can only be forged in the final dying breaths of exploding stars. Small. So why feel small? What's the value in it? Well, for me, when I carve out some time and space, within time and space, to consider these things, I feel powerful. Because be it by infinitesimally small chance, or perhaps by an unseen divine hand, my life, your life, and every life is a miracle. Speaking then as a said representative of miracles, because I have the stage, and surrounded by all of you other miracles, I don't mind feeling small, because I believe firmly that together we can do big things. Unfortunately, together requires authentic relationships. And authentic relationships are challenging, scary, demanding, sometimes dangerous. You can and you will get hurt. But you'll never really know someone. You won't fully understand yourself. And you can't possibly realize your true potential until you're willing to be exposed and experience all of the emotion that comes with it. Watching a huddle highlight reel of Naeem, liking an Instagram photo, updating a Snapchat story, replying to a group text, they don't cut it. You must peel back the layers. Make yourself vulnerable. Take down the walls and show others who you really are. What you believe in. What hurts, what makes you proud, and what makes you scared. Make vulnerability your greatest strength by using it as a platform to share with one another on the most profound of emotional levels. It's my pleasure then to use my opportunity tonight to be vulnerable and to share and connect with you. You have to start with Mom. Debs? There's Debs. That's my mom, everyone. Well, it turns out I wasn't hatched from an egg or grown in a tube. It was an accident, but that's another story. This particular story starts in 1996. You guys, seniors, were taking your first breaths, picking up your heads, rolling over, or not even here yet. I was going to a new school and enamored with a new sport. Came home, and I confidently told my mother, I'm going to play college lacrosse. My evidence was compelling. I had never played the sport before. Landon had a regional powerhouse. I was coming off a spiral fracture of my tibia, and I was a strong 5'4", 140 pounds. Destined for greatness. Well, Debs did as Debs does. She supported me, like she always has, and she told me with belief and conviction, you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. Fast forward 20 years later. Played high school lacrosse, played college lacrosse, professional lacrosse, international lacrosse. Those are just things. But at every level, I played on the same team, wearing the same jersey as my younger brother. That experience, perhaps, is the most treasured of my life, and was made possible by my mother's stalwart belief and support in what I wanted to pursue. Now, my mom wasn't always just a big dream supporter. She's tough. She can tap into a cold-hearted, sinister, and maybe even hateful competitive side. She detests losing, and she will absolutely tell you why you lost. So all of you here seniors that have at sometimes incurred the righteous wrath of Coach Healy screaming, accountability, blame parenting. So let's rewind to the fall of '92. It's a state cup soccer semifinal game in the late minutes. I'm playing left defensive back, and I misplay a ball badly in our own end. That results in a tap-in for the other team. We fail to equalize, lose the game, out of state cup. That's the best soccer team I ever had. So we did what you do when you lose a game as 11-year-olds. Exactly what you do when you win the game as 11-year-olds. You eat orange slices and drink Capri Suns on the sideline. So there I am, orange slice in my mouth and a mangled Capri Sun. I cannot open those things. I slide right through them and there's stuff everywhere. But I'm in this crowd of parents telling us all how hard we tried and how nice a game it was. So Debs comes over. Taps me on the shoulder, looks me in the eye. You know you blew the game for the whole team. So I didn't get the everyone's a winner, or you tried really hard moment. I got the real. My actions cost my team a state championship berth. Debs let me sit there for a few moments. 11. I'm 11 years old. And digest the magnitude of my failure. Then she said, reassuringly, it's okay to fail, as long as you learn from it. I know you'll learn from this one. We'll win the next one. And I've won a lot of games since then. And I've made a lot of mistakes. But as long as you pick yourself back up, it's worth it. Now my mom got her toughness from her mom, Gloria. She is basically invincible. So she broke her neck playing tennis in her 60s. It was in an indoor court, and there's not enough padding going to a wall. And being the try-hard that she is, she dove for a shot, and because there wasn't padding, ended up breaking her spine. It required surgery and a halo brace to avoid possible paralyzation. Within 2 years, completely recovered and back on the courts. 3 years ago, she broke her hip and had an infection following surgery that almost killed her. She would tell you that the love and support from her husband, Bill, is what carried her through as she recovered from yet another challenging near-death experience. Last year, she was presented with a unique opportunity. Return the favor. Bill ended up in a coma after a severe cardiac event. The doctors were ready to have a conversation about when life support should be shut off. That's when Bill decided it was time to get up. He would tell you that the love and support from Mama is what carried him through. Mama turns 90 this summer, a remarkable achievement from a remarkable woman. And both her and Bill epitomize to me a mentality of keep living until you're done. They have taken life, and they have gotten everything from it, and they're not ready to go just yet. I am truly thankful for their persistence and resilience. Now, as a philosopher, I struggle with one thing, really. I struggle with the possibility that my brother might be concrete proof of absolute morality, because he lives a perfect, ethical, and principled life. A long time ago, we were on our way home in my mother's brown Mitsubishi van after a trip to Roy Rogers following a soccer game. Brendan was really upset. We asked him what's wrong. He goes, I didn't stop them. In my brain, we won the game 4-1, so it wasn't a game. What is wrong with you? Stop who? And he said, my friends. They were making fun of that kid, and I didn't stop them. That kid was another child of Roy Rogers, sitting across the restaurant, well beyond the hearing range of any comments coming from Brendan's table. But that kid clearly suffered from some manner of developmental disorder. That kid was probably someone who could not have defended himself from a joke or a bully. Bear in mind, that kid never heard anything. All the jokes were just between friends, and Brendan was devastated. Brendan was 8. An 8-year-old felt and intuitively understood the importance and moral significance of respecting and protecting others, particularly those less fortunate or less capable, even when they're unaware they've been wrong. And he has lived his life like that ever since. Fast forward a few years, my brother attended a summer lacrosse camp with his future coach at Landon, Rob Bordley, coaching the summer team. He was looking to impress. He was going to be in high school next year. On the first afternoon of a 5-day event, Brendan took a vicious check to his right arm, suffering a fully displaced fracture of his ulna. The trainers cleared him to play because, based upon a physical examination and how little pain he showed, they figured it couldn't possibly be a fracture. 5 days later, playing mostly with his offhand, since his right arm was broken, he was collecting the MVP award for his age group. The day after that, he was in a full-arm cast. Brendan combines his character, his morality, with a drive to succeed and willpower that I've only seen in one other person. Bruce Wayne, who's not real. He is the best person I know, and someone I look up to every day as an older brother. Rick's my stepdad. He came into my life when I was really volatile. I was angry. I had an alcoholic father. I was angry that my parents were divorced. I was the last teenage boy that you would want to invite to your home as a stepson. But my mother and Rick had fallen in love and decided to take on the challenge. In 1997, the Healy Turner Clan was born. 4 boys, all within a total age range of 2.5 years. Rick and Debs, and Ivanhoe the Labrador, also a boy. My stepbrothers actually split time between Rick's house and their mother's, leaving Brendan and I as the only full-time kids in the house. The possibility and ways this could have gone sideways are basically unimaginable. I wasn't looking for a father figure. I wasn't looking for a friend. I was not looking for anything. I was angry and comfortable in my anger. And Rick didn't try to do anything special. Rick didn't pretend to be anyone he wasn't. Rick was there. I'd come home from practice. There he was. I'd get up for breakfast in the morning, and he was there. I'd come in the house, knuckles bare, almost to the bone, from punching trees in fits of rage, with blood pouring from my hands. And he was there. He never forced conversation. He never tried to be anyone but himself. No matter what, no matter when, I know he'll be there. And 18 years later, he's there. The final anecdote from my life before Potomac concerns the most complicated relationship in my life, that with my father. Alan is not a bad man, but decades ago, he couldn't shake his demons, and he ruined his family and his life with alcohol. As a teenager, I had every reason to be angry at him. He failed himself, he failed our family, he failed me. But sometime, down at the bottom, alone and broken, he picked himself up. He put the bottle behind him, and he began to try to put the pieces back together. Hopefully, none of us will ever find ourselves in such a position. But I know when I say, I couldn't have taken those steps forward, having sunk that low. Next spring, he will reach 20 years of sobriety. It was then, when he was trying to do right, and looking to atone, that I failed him. And I learned the difference between what is justifiable and what is right. As he rehabilitated himself, he sought to re-engage in the lives of his sons. He would come to our games, watch us play, and stand desperately around afterwards in the hopes that I would just acknowledge him. I didn't. For the first 5 years of his sobriety, I took advantage of my newfound position of power. He hurt me, I was going to hurt him back. It was simple, justifiable. Eventually, my thirst for revenge diminished. Perhaps I had my fill, or perhaps I grew up. Regardless, I began to speak to my father again. During my brother's final year at Maryland, I had already graduated, and Al and I would go to Brendan's games together and talk for the first time in our lives, authentically, as a father and a son. It was tremendous. I learned about his pain. I learned about his life. I learned about his weakness. I learned about the power of forgiveness and the importance of giving someone a second chance when they deserve it and when they ask for it with humility. Unfortunately, Alan's health started to turn. Decades of drinking exacted a heavy toll. It has been a slow and painful decline since then. His physical and mental capabilities continue to degrade. He is agoraphobic, and his once renewed optimism has faded into an all too often spiteful cynicism. I see him every few weeks. It hurts, and it's not going to get better. And I took 5 years. Took 5 years of a healthy relationship because I wanted it to hurt. Because I enjoyed my position of power and abused my position of strength. It was justifiable. I was a kid. But I wasn't right. I can never get those years back. The potential growth in the relationship with my father, the steps he could have made toward truly forgiving himself, are gone. I hope to never abuse a position of power again, and learned in a very hard way that the best thing you can do with power is empower those around you. These stories provide a window into what has been a charmed life. a privileged and fulfilling life filled with wonderful people that I'm frankly not sure I truly deserve. But it is mine nonetheless, and I am sure that I am going to make good on these relationships. I owe all of these people, my father included, debts I can never repay. And so instead, I strive to pay it forward. 10 years ago, I first started working at Potomac as an assistant lacrosse coach, that same year that I was reconnecting with my father. The boss hog dog man himself, Rob Lee, he saw something in me, and before I knew it, he had convinced me to become the athletic intern instead of pursuing a graduate degree in philosophy, because that made a lot of sense. 6 years ago, Robert Von Glahn, and he'll never admit to this, made sure I got an interview with the upper school history department. For the last 5 years, I have had the privilege of working with you kids. In the classroom, weight room, the fields, and the halls. It has been the best 5 years of my life. Class of 2015, you are truly remarkable. My connections with you are greater in volume and depth than any other class of Potomac. I have watched you achieve incredible things across the entire spectrum of what Potomac offers. And because it would be impossible for me to go through individual anecdotes, because I know so many of you and love so many of you, I will instead walk you through a typical day in the life of Ian Healy at Potomac. Roll out of bed with clothes next to the bed. I keep my hair short so I don't have to shower in the morning. I have an alarm clock where I have to solve math problems to make it snooze because otherwise I'll sleep through it. I get to school around 7:30 wearing dress pants, sweatpants. Never missing those windows and chances to exchange sarcastic barbs or high fives with you seniors on the way in from the parking lot. I consider very briefly, I don't really consider it at all, going to the faculty room, but decide that there's probably more entertainment to be had in the crossroads, and I head there. After a few minutes of inside jokes and chirps, drinking my fill of the enthusiasm and energy that all of you exude, Mr. Burt tells us the bells aren't working, and I have to run to get to my A or B Black freshman class because I'm late. After finishing with the freshmen, the fun begins. Senior electives. U.S. foreign policy and the modern Middle East were filled with brilliant thinkers, hard workers, and above all, playful students that love their time with each other and love their time at Potomac. You wowed me with your engagement, your discipline, and your creativity. However, as with all classes at Potomac, they were perhaps at their most valuable when we went off script, to have a collective discussion about whatever was on your minds. E-block, time for lunch. Intent on arriving early and beating the rush, I sprint down the hall, but inevitably get derailed by something amazing happening in one of the art studios. Really, it is incredible what you guys accomplish. Eventually, I break myself loose, and now I am stuck in the E-block lunch line, and it's full of F-blockers and Von Glahn. That has to stop. Okay, F-block goes to F-block. It's ridiculous. But stuck in line, I verbally spar with a dozen of you while getting food. I hit up some serious knucks with squad, and then one or several of you like to tell me what a soft Libby I am. On the way out, I tell Duffy what a wonderful body type he has. I pounded with Levi, I high-five Rendell, I eat 4 cookies too many, and I head to an F-block discussion panel. Now I find myself in a room overflowing with students leading impassioned discussions about feminism, social justice, religion and atheism, gender identity, media's impact on our self-image, or any of the other topics you have brought to us. I cannot remember a single one of these conversations that finished before we ran out of time, or a single one of those conversations where I didn't learn more than I gave. After one more freshman block, school's out. It's time for practice. Armed with my camo hat and a firm belief that accountability is not just a word, the next 2 hours are spent working hard to defeating our friends from Oakton and securing another director's cup. After practice, it's alumni season in the weight room. Reconnect with old friends while increasing raw force output and developing lean body mass. You had me at raw force output. 7:30 rolls around. And I retreat to the coach's office where Duffy eats his 4th lunch. And the handful of you that always still remain settle in to talk, watch film, or just relax. At 8 or so, I leave campus. I tell Alex Thomas to go home on my way out. And then I'm off to LTO or Chipotle for some delicious hot green sauce. Then home, read, play video games, and go to bed before doing it all over again. Seniors, thank you. Tomorrow marks a huge transition for you. And as with any transition, you get to choose what you take with you and what you leave behind. I hope you will carry forward the heart of Potomac, the relationships that have helped shape you into who you are today. I hope you will carry forward a willingness to be vulnerable, a sense of debt that can never be paid, and a drive to pay it forward. I'll close with a quote, because, as is often the case, someone has already said it better than I ever could have. Last summer, when accepting the Jimmy V. Perseverance Award for his courageous battle with cancer, Stuart Scott said, "Every day I am reminded that our life's journey is really about the people who touch us." Thank you, class of 2015, and thank you, Potomac, for how you have touched me. Go well.